in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take 3. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode
Game
538
over,
of the
yeah.
DrunkNerds podcast. I'm Tyler. You know me. We have the man,
I'm
the
doing
myth,
pretty good,
the legend
dude.
himself, Sir
I'm loving the
Colonel
fact
Gables. What's up,
that
buddy?
I'm loving the fact that there's like
Yeah.
all sorts of little things that are
Jesus
just hiccuping
Christ.
here and there and stuff like that. But at the same time, though, dude, I'm just happy that the football season's almost over with tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I'm also kind of happy that I'm playing a multitude of different games. Played a bunch of Game Boy and Game Boy Advance stuff, which I'll get into a little bit later on. But at the same point, though, it's going pretty good, though. How about you, Tyler?
Doing all right. This is our third time doing the intro because I fucked up the first one and then the second one. So now we're here for the third time doing this intro. I'm doing okay though. In the first intro, I talked a lot about I was on vacation this week. First world problems. I am extremely depressed that it is over. It's just Saturday night. Tomorrow's Sunday. Means it's going back to work time. So I've been in like a major depression mode. Since really like Thursday afternoon, it kind of hit. I'm like, oh god, tomorrow's Friday. Totally fucked up my sleep schedule on Thursday, unfortunately. I tried all week. I'm like, because last time I was on vacation back in June, I had a week off because
Yes.
my work you have to take vacation in a week chunks, and I was like, I'm gonna stay up late. That was the week the Corey came out too. I'm like, I'm gonna stay up late because I want to play the Corey at night. But it was summertime. It doesn't get dark here till like 9:30, and then every night I was like by 10:30 I was like falling asleep on the couch. And I did the same thing. Like Thursday night I stayed up super late, beat the game finally. But then I had to kind of get back on a somewhat sleep schedule. And I stayed up to like 2 a.m. on Thursday night after struggling to stay up till like 11 the rest of the week. And then last night I forced myself to be asleep. It's a whole thing. First world problems, people. But yeah, I've watched a bunch of movies, played a bunch of games, and it's been pretty nice. Took my dog on multiple WALKs this week, so yeah, it was good. It was good. It was needed. But I'm definitely it sucks because I don't know when my next vacation is going to be because we don't start playing that shit out until March and seniority base, and I'm towards the bottom on that. So I'm able to take vacation when it's available, which you never know. But Gables, let's get in to some of our news because even despite by the way, we already did like a full Nintendo Direct podcast. If you want to know about that, we spent 90 minutes on Wednesday night talking about that. It's episode
Yes.
537. So if you are on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, all that fun jazz, go there, go in our archives, look them up, listen to them. 5-star reviews, like, follow, subscribe, thumbs up, shares, all that fun jazz. Please do that for us. We appreciate it. Check in the description down below. You can see where the links to all the things are, like Twitter, Facebook, everything. So check it out, please. But Gables,
Yes.
it's been a few days now. What's your final thoughts on this Nintendo Direct we had a few days ago?
Well, my final thoughts about the Nintendo Direct, it was kind of similar to what I was guessing that it may have been leading up until there, like that we would see like a lot of ports, a lot of different like kind of safe sort of aspect type of things. But what I mean about like ports in general, I wasn't expecting seeing remaster ports to like with Bat and Kaitos and stuff like that, or the fact that we would get a stealth drop of Metroid Prime remastered on the same day it was announced. I mean, that came out of left field. But in regards to the whole consistency of it, I thought that it remained a good direct for a lot of different people. I mean, you had the hardcore JRPG stuff for that demographic. For everyone else, you did have like the games that you would look forward to in regards to some of the top echelon thing of Nintendo content. Then you have like some bits of like everything in between, like say your Pikmin 4 announcement, all that other stuff. But it also kind of showcased a bit more of a revival of Level 5 in the West because Level 5 hasn't really put out too many games like on like in the West in like the last couple of years.
Or when they do, they've been pretty piss poor. So
Yeah, that's the thing though. And this one just seems like it's been kind of like the strongest they've been in quite a while in regards
yeah,
to reveals of different things. I mean,
they did
granted,
4, didn't they?
they had like about 4 games inside this Nintendo Direct. One was a
Yeah.
fashion game, which you know what, none of us are pretty much interested in over here. But the gameplay looked kind of interesting. You had the Professor Layton game, and I think there's something else. But
Deca Police?
that's called Deca Police. That game where you have like a squad of like these five like with this like internet type of
Oh, one
power.
sec, Gables. Skype is breaking up a little bit here. Give me 1 second here. We're just having all kinds of issues here.
But yeah,
Everything's been good.
it was just kind of like police sort of like internet type of style like problem solving and stuff. It's more kind of like a sort of like sci-fi-ish sort of game. But what's interesting about it is like the main thing I got out of Nintendo Direct is Nintendo is definitely going towards nostalgia route for this one because it kind of feels like they're kind of tying up some loose ends before they eventually move on from the Switch. Like this whole direct kind of gave me that impression that this may potentially be like the last major year for the Switch itself because of the whole emphasis on ports and remakes and stuff, and emphasis upon their online service with a revealing of the Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance games on Nintendo Switch Online, which that was a welcome surprise. That whole drop and everything, but in and of itself, man, yeah, I thought it was still pretty solid. A lot of good stuff.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. I mean, I pretty much echo a lot of things you said. I felt like it definitely feels like yeah we're like we're at the end of the Switch era. I don't. I mean, obviously we don't know a lot, but I mean, I'm assuming I feel pretty comfortable that we're gonna get like a June direct in
Yeah,
because after we got Zelda in May and then Pikmin in July.
we may see like an indie direct or maybe like a blowout thing for
Yeah.
Zelda potentially before
Yeah.
May.
Yeah, I can see like yeah, I wouldn't be shocked. Usually we have one like GDC, I
Mm-hmm.
think, or is that PAX East or
PAX
PAX
probably
whatever it is.
PAX East before then.
Yeah, I think it's because whatever the one in New York, they usually have like a Nindies one too. So, but as far as like a full blown one, especially with E3 being back, and they've always, I know there's been the rumors that they're gonna be around, but yeah, I feel like they're gonna have to after sometime after Zelda because yeah, like I said, we don't really have a lot.
Other than
I mean,
Pikmin
we have
4 after Zelda, and that's
yeah
about
in
it.
July, yeah, July 21st, and that's it. So, I mean, I guess I mean I imagine we'll get like a Pokemon Presents because Pokemon Day is in a week or two.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So, and they typically will have something. So I bet we'll have something there then.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I thought overall it was really good. Like I said, I talked about on the main one though, but like that first 30 minutes was pretty rough. And then I thought the last like 10 minutes was like that's when we had the Game Boy Advance. That's when we had Metroid, even Bats and Kaitos to a smaller
That's
extent, and then
when
like
they
Zelda.
cooked.
Yeah, yeah. It was just like it was a very slow simmer for 30 minutes, and then we just turned the heat up. But yeah, I thought so. That's why like I was a little lower on it just because it took so long to like because typically they do a good job of like, all right, here's a wall. It's like a roller coaster.
Yes.
Like, oh, here's a peak, and then some walls, and definitely some of those things are, like personal. You're always gonna have that, and I feel like that was definitely the case for this one because, like I said, during the main one is like that was I feel like that was a very specific type of one. Like, there's a lot of big news out of it, which
Yes.
as people that do podcasts, that's great. That's what we want. We want like it makes it very easy for us to do podcasts when we have a lot of big stuff. Even if it's not like personally what we're excited for, there's a lot. It makes it easier to talk about because there's big news coming out of it. But and then that helps too. But yeah, I mean, like it definitely tells me that also that like, and I think we've probably known this for a while, but like they realize they really can't like with the Nintendo Switch Online stuff. It's like they realize the audience isn't there anymore to like uh, a la carte make people buy their old Nintendo games. Uh, and I imagine probably, I mean, the way the Wii U sold, because I think that they definitely kind of banked on the idea of like, oh, we can do the Nintendo like thing and like charge you money to buy these games you bought 20 times already again. You can buy it for 21st time, and then also here with our games itself will sell it. And I think they realize that doesn't work anymore, obviously. Um, so they realize they can't. This is probably the best bet. I do wish they would still put them a la carte and do like a Game Pass thing. Like, hey, if you have Nintendo Switch Online, we'll give you 20% off. Here's like you could buy Super Mario Brothers for $5, but if you have, or you could buy it for $3 if you have, our service or whatever, and you don't have to keep the service. You can just play it whenever you want.
Yeah, it's the
Kind
most
of like a game,
ideal
like
way that we would like to see that kind of, where you like
yeah,
what you're saying before, like the whole Game Pass. ish type of thing and stuff like that, to where they would have the games available without a subscription, but at the same time, if you had the subscription, save like you could on Xbox's Game Pass and stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's like I love Vampire Survivor so much. Um, it was only like a $5 game, but it was like I bought it and it was like 10% off. So I'm like, cool. I'm like, I want to support these people. I love this game, and then when it eventually does leave Game Pass, I still have Vampire Survivors, and I saved a buck. And then I bought DLC as well because it was like a dollar or something. Um, but yeah, I like, and but I think they also realize though they can. There's a pretty hardcore audience that wants those GameCube games,
Yes,
and they
absolutely.
realize that they could do it. Unfortunately, though, I mean, we already had Sunshine, and then we had Metro Prime. Unfortunately, though, I was like thinking about after the direct, and after we recorded Wednesday night, I'm like, oh, there's a market here. And I was like, but how big is that market? Because it's not a very big market. I mean, there's some. They've obviously done like the Wii games, like Twilight Princess, even though I know it was on GameCube. It's and like Wind Waker, they've already done that past. But like Twilight Princess was mainly a Wii game.
Mhm.
Skyward Sword we've already gotten from the Wii, but it's like, um, I mean, obviously the Wii U games have been ported over, but GameCube, I mean, as great of a system as it was, you look at first party stuff, there wasn't a lot, and some of it's hit and miss, like Star Fox Adventures, Metroid Prime 2. Um, we're pretty hit. Like most people don't actually like Star Fox Adventure. Like if you take the Star Fox out of it, it's actually not that good of a game. I know like Metroid Prime is the one everybody loves. 2, not so much. 3 is pretty good. From everything I understand when I listen to people talk about that game. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, like I mean, really, you look at GameCube. There's not a lot of shit in there that they can big stuff that would actually like move the needle. I don't think there's too much after Sunshine, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, and Metroid
That'd
Prime.
be
I mean,
interesting though to try to delve into though. I mean, thinking about it like from the first party perspective, what would Nintendo have left in regards to,
Mario parties,
well, their Mario Party stuff possibly. I mean, yeah, that's
but I
that's
mean, they're
that's a
not
thing,
gonna.
but I don't think that's a
There's
legitimate thing that they're gonna do.
take out Double Dash and
You
Melee.
could have F-Zero GX, which that's also something
Yeah,
that they could
there's been
possibly
rumors
do
of a
that.
remaster for that.
If you're
So
gonna remaster
I
one game, the GameCube version of F-Zero is probably the one you're gonna go with the most, considering that
yeah
one was considered by many to be the best in the entire series, but also in terms of getting more familiarity with people in regards to the games themselves. I mean, hell, we're dealing with like a nowadays inside the gaming format and stuff where RMX racing plus like yeah, FMX or whatever the hell
mm,
that
I know
game.
what you're talking about. Yeah, it was like the early Switch game.
Yeah, that early Switch game and stuff like that, like Fast RMX or whatever the hell.
Yeah,
That game exists and like Wipeout exists and stuff, even though maybe they're not as popular as what they could be in that stuff. But people would just literally be clowning for like a digital version of like say
yeah.
a F-Zero game.
I'm just thinking of like what moves. Like I'm talking about like like Metroid Prime. I don't. It's not mainstream, but it will move the needle. Like even for I'm talking about like the people that like that buy the Switch sports games and shit like that. Like the more casual fans that have big name franchises attached to them. I don't really think there's a lot on
In
GameCube
terms of like the casual
first
fan
party.
stuff, the most casual thing you could probably go for, I think, try to entice them is Mario Sunshine. But even so, that's
It's
something
already
that's
out
already
there.
been out
Yeah,
there in
and
regards
they
to
put it
that.
on. It's you can't buy it anymore. So,
But
um,
re-releasing it like digitally through that, they could possibly do, or even
yeah,
like a eventual remaster, maybe not on this system, but like the next
yeah,
system could be a potential thing that could
yeah.
happen too. But
Because there's no 2D Mario's. There's I don't know. But I just think that's interesting because like I mean there's a whole. It's like man I was like thinking I'm like man there's a whole like different like there's a lot of money you can get out of that and I was like well I started thinking about it, like nah there's not really a lot of unfortunately it's not a lot of product to give you. I mean they can go into the Wii and there's like new Super Mario Bros. Shit in
well,
there
yeah,
but
look at some of the look at like some of like the best GameCube games in general and stuff like that. A lot of the third party stuff has already been either in the pipeline to be coming out or have already came out. Look at some of the
yeah
exclusives from
like
back then. Tales of Symphonia, that was one.
yeah
Bat and
which will
Kaitos.
eventually get a PS2 later
Well,
so
yeah, that's the thing though. Bat and yeah, Tales of Symphonia that did have a PS2 port. It did come to
Skies of Arcadia
PS3.
Legend like
Skies of
I
Arcadia
mean
Legends and stuff like that. That was on Dreamcast, that came to GameCube and stuff like that. But that's a remaster that Sega should be going through and going with.
right
But god damn, I mean, Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door is another one I could
that would
potentially
be a
see it being a
Yeah,
possible
I'd buy the
remaster.
fuck out of that.
That
So
is one of the last ones I could think about for the GameCube because, like you've stated before, both Zelda games, through Twilight Princess and Wind Waker, they have been remade and like re-released and stuff through the Wii U. Yeah, Mario Sunshine, which definitely was like a limited run thing in regards to the Switch. Even like the things like for Monkey Ball games, which are not technically first party, they've had their
those
tracks
just
like re-released and stuff
yeah,
like on the Switch.
that just got re-released last year.
Yes,
Yeah, so
exactly.
yeah,
But
yeah.
unlike
I don't
ports of
know.
third-party games, I mean, you
Yeah,
are
I feel
right.
like we're
You do have a point.
yeah. Yeah, I think they're just kind of outside of like full blown remakes. I feel like they're kind of out of runway on this whole formula. But I don't know. Yeah, overall I think it's good. But yeah, I agree. Like, I just I feel like we are definitely in the era of this console where they're holding on to shit,
Yeah.
or they're like there's stuff in the works that's probably close to being done, but they're saving it for the next thing.
Oh yeah.
Um, but let's move on here, Gables. Um, excuse me, I had a burp there. But we might have another big presentation
Yeah.
coming soon. Uh, we might get two big PlayStation events here. Maybe one big one and one smaller one. So Jeff Grubb talked about on his Game Mess podcast that he's been hearing some stuff. He's not promising, kind of like the direct thing. He's been hearing that there's a state of play, a low key one is his exact term.
Okay.
That's coming in the next month. He's hearing towards the end of February, so the next couple of weeks, but could be beginning of March. So in the next, so the next probably 2 to 3 weeks away
Right.
is what we're looking at here. More of a low key one, but then there is supposed to be a PlayStation showcase intended to be before E3. So pretty much anywhere between March and like the first week of June. Like last year, we had the first real big state of play. Right before Summer Game Fest last year,
Yes.
where they announced like Street Fighter 6. We had like a Final Fantasy 16 trailer. I think Tekken 8 was also in that one as well. But yeah, so um, apparently some other stuff that came out of this too was that PlayStation actually was planning to do a showcase last year. Because like we had one, we've had one the last couple, like so in 2020 we had one we had two in 2020, one in June,
Mm-hmm.
one in September. 2021 we had another one in September, and then we didn't have one at all last year. But we had two pretty good state of plays. We had that one in June we were talking about, and then we had the last one, and the one in June was all like third party stuff, but it was like pretty big third party stuff. And then in September we had another state of play that had like the God of War trailer, the big one that kind of was like the final push of the game. Where the controller was announced. A couple other like bigger announcements in them too, but it was mostly like VR focused too as well. But typically, the state of plays they've always kind of made them kind of smaller
Right.
events. Like don't get your hopes up for big stuff. But this apparently will be a smaller one. And I was thinking about like, okay, what's some smaller stuff they can have here? And like obviously the state of play or the PSVR 2 is coming in a couple weeks. So, but if it's towards the end of the month, maybe it's just a VR state of play. Which hey, like would I be interested in watching that? No. But would it be a smart move to do?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it would be,
Uh,
considering you need to showcase what the
so
VR games that are going to be launching first and foremost
yeah,
to
and
consumers.
and I just got an email today with asking from PlayStation, letting me know there's pre-orders available for that thing. So
Well,
not going too great. But some of the things I was thinking about though, if it's not VR focused, there are a decent amount of games they've talked about, and this isn't everything. This is just kind of stuff because I was kind of like going back and like reading news reports, stuff like that, and stuff I had off the top of my head, and, like stuff they've talked about that just like we haven't heard about or we haven't seen in a little bit, or like things they've talked about in previous data plays that are like I could see being there because they're not like full blown AAA stuff. They're not like, but there's stuff that have release dates for this year. One is that Tachia game. It's like a weird, it's like a cartoony style game,
yep,
like a survival game, like on an island. Little Devil Inside, which they had a whole state of play for that thing at the end of 2021, and that game was supposed to come out in
yep,
2021. Then it got delayed 2022. They did a whole literally did a whole state of play built around it
yep.
at the end of 2021, saying it'd be coming out in 2022. Just never came out.
That's true.
We have not heard about that game in over a year, well over a year now. So you got to imagine that's coming soon. But I feel like that last state of play, like because like the stuff we'd seen before that from the Little Devil side looked awesome, and then we finally saw like kind of what the bones of that game is.
Right.
And I wonder if like it felt like I think everybody was pretty down on the game after that full blown state of play, and maybe we're like, okay, maybe we gotta go back to the drawing board. I don't know, but at that point, though, if that game's just like close to coming out, not a lot you can do. Goodbye Volcano High was actually at the original PS5 event back in June
We've
2020.
heard nothing more updating about that.
No, so there's been some updates, but it's one of like the lead writers on the game got caught doing some let's just say awful like bottom of the line shitty stuff
Oh wow,
that you can do out there, and they basically like had to like go through and rewrite everything that he was directly involved with.
wow,
So yeah, that game was supposed to come out in 2021. I'm actually like I love kind of like I'm a sucker for like that style, that art design, and also like just the vibes of that music. It gives me very much Life is Strange vibes. So we don't really like it was like a 30-second teaser, but I was like I'm all in on that thing from what we saw. So hopefully that's coming. I mean we haven't seen any trailers. There's been like no real news on it. I'm sure if I go on the Twitter page for them, I can go look it up and like there's been some tweets. And that's kind of like that's why I know that stuff because it wasn't really obviously hugely covered because it's a smaller indie game. Stellar Blade, which is one of the games that they showed off, I think in 2021. It was called
mm-hmm.
Project Eve, and then last year at the June event, it was at the June State of Play. Or was it June or September State of Play? One of the State of Plays. We finally got to see like gameplay of it. That game looks awesome. Actually, kind of gives me like everybody. Like at first, people thought it was like a Parasite Eve game, and then we finally saw
Nope.
gameplay, and we thought it was a Platinum game. It's none of those things. But I thought the game looked really amazing outside of the uncomfortable boob jiggle stuff that was going on there. That made me very like I'm like I really want to play this game, but I would like let me turn that off. Let me turn that off because I would like to like not feel weird playing that game. Um, so that's supposed to be coming sometime this year, and I'd like to play that game. Pragmata, which was a Capcom game that was shown off at I think also the original.
Oh geez,
Um,
yeah, the dinosaur
that
game.
was no, that's Exoprimal. That was
Oh,
next
that's
level.
Exoprimal.
Yeah,
Okay.
Pragmata is the Capcom. It's another Capcom game. That's the one where like the guy was like in a spacesuit, and then like he shot through like the Earth, and like there was a glass, and then they landed on the moon. And
Yeah,
everybody
it
was like,
had. It's
is
a
this a
weird ass
Kojima
trailer.
game?" Yeah, and people thought it was a Kojima game, but it's not. It's supposed to come out in 2022, and they announced it in June, and then like November of 2020, they announced 20. They delayed it to 2023. So who knows what's going on with that game? But we have not seen anything else from that game in nearly 2 years. Extra Primal, which you already talked about. I'm curious to play more, see more of that game. I don't think the game's gonna be like good, or not. I should say, I think the game could be fine or good.
I think it's
Uh,
gonna be so bad it's good,
I hope that game looks like it could be kind of fun though. I could see us having a good gamer night with that game. But
dude.
it's like
Just
that's
raining
like
dinosaurs everywhere.
that looked amazing. That blew me away. I want to play that game. I just don't want to pay for it. Like put that on like the PlayStation Plus thing. Sin Duality, which is that weird mech like adventure game that was announced last year as well.
Hmm.
Rise of Ronin, that's I believe Sega. No, that's Team Ninja making that one. It
Yep.
looks like a uh, Ghost of Tsushima style game, like a Ghost of Tsushima Assassin's Creed game. And Turnights, which is that like Persona looking game that was announced last year as well. Horizon Burning Shore, that's just coming in April. So I imagine if you're going to talk about it, like if you want to give that like a spotlight, that'd probably be the best place to do it. It's only DLC. It's not huge, but I mean, that could be like your one more thing. And then also PC ports. So I don't know. I mean, that's kind of the shit like I could think of like the top of my head and like going back and like deep diving on some of these old state of plays. So I don't know. I mean, some of these like, but we talk about these state of plays. Like I'm able to keep my expectations typically in check with these things, and they do a good job of like parameters on it. Like, hey, this won't be here, this won't be here. We're only talking about this, and they stick to it, which I always appreciate. Like, don't let me. Cause it's like I always talk about with Nintendo. It's like, hey, we're only going to talk about the first half of this year, and then the very first trailer is Pikmin coming out in the second half of the year, and they immediately lie. So I always like it when like, hey, like don't get too hyped. And we're actually gonna stick with what we say. But I don't know. I mean, give us. I mean, how you feeling about possibly getting a state of play in the next couple weeks?
Oh, it's highly possible. I mean, let's look at it this way. Whenever one big company goes through and does something, the other two tend to follow suit with some form of news not too long after, if not like sometimes a couple weeks after.
Yeah.
So the possibility of having like some sort of a small PlayStation State of Play or whatever type of conference or something leading up to, like, say, March or whatever, I mean, that wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we usually have like a state of play in the beginning of the year, and then usually
Hmm.
one, like almost one per quarter, like three here. Like we usually have one first quarter, in the middle there, and then
And we
in
haven't
the
had one yet, have we?
nope, the last one we have September. So usually we don't have one post. By then you're just games are coming out. We don't do state of plays, but um, yeah, I mean, so I can see that for like this, but that's for like what I was thinking showcase. Like those are smaller indie games, and then like stuff that we know about and like double A games. For the
Yes.
showcase, I feel like if that's happening, here's what I have down: Spider-Man 2. I think is like almost a must. Uh, Wolverine maybe, but I don't think so because that's both those both are Insomniac games. A big push for Final Fantasy 16 because that's coming out in June. One more like big, like let's talk about it here. Give a big one more big trailer maybe. Last of Us Factions, um, possibly. And then I was like, that's kind of all we know about because we're kind of like really we're at the end of like that era of like these are like the big PlayStation games talked about, in 2020.
Yes.
Like here's the reason why to buy our console. It's kind of like like you look at Xbox, it's like all the games. Like I went back and actually watched like the big Xbox event we had in 2020 from them. It's like only like Forza Horizon 5 and Halo have come out, and everything else is we haven't seen. So
Yep.
it's pretty crazy. Like over 2 years in, and it's like most of the shit they showed off we still haven't seen yet. But I was like, so I was like thinking, okay, what do we got here? So I looked up all the PlayStation studios. We don't have to spend a lot of time on this, but we can go one by one.
Okay.
Team Asobi.
Team Asobi,
They're
this is the one
the
that does like the Astro Playroom
Astrobot.
stuff, right?
Yeah, and everybody loved the VR game. And that the Astro's Playroom that was free to play with the game with the console when you bought it was amazing. One of the best games
Mm-hmm.
of the year in 2020.
Yes, it was.
Um, I think everybody assumes they're making a VR Astros game.
It would be a safe bet to assume that yes, they would probably be making something for the PlayStation VR 2, considering they have been predominantly not only just the launch of the PS4, but also for the launch of the PSVR. Then, of course, with the PS5's launch, they've had like their, in my honest opinion, probably their best Mario-related game.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, and we don't really have anything for VR two after launch. Like there was no real major hits. So if you do one of those, maybe that's at the state of play thing. I don't know, but I feel like that could be a good shot and like maybe a good boost for them. But like the game maybe should announce before the VR two comes out. But I don't know. Bin Studio, the Day Gone's people, they have not put a game out. That was April, I think, of 2019. It was early
Mm-hmm.
2019 that game came out. So it's been 4 years since they put a game out. So who knows? Like I feel like at that like yeah, it takes a long time to put games out now. Now I know that, but like for 4 years, like, maybe there's finally something to show. And like there's been I don't know if it's rumors or just people talking about it, but are they the Uncharted people?
Who knows?
I don't know. But I mean, we know the Days Gone 2 got canceled. That wasn't gonna happen. But then it sounded like it never actually started. So it wasn't like they
No.
wasted 2 years working on it. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of curious what they're doing. Blue Point, they did the Demon Souls remaster remake. That was a launch game in 2020. There's been a lot
Hmm.
of talk about them doing the Metal Gear Solid thing. But that's been rumored forever.
Yeah, there's been a lot of
Uh,
speculations of multiple projects that Blue Point could be potentially doing. Metal Gear Solid is just one of them.
yeah,
But
and
yeah, those are
yeah,
a big question mark.
last thing I think they said though is that they're working on their own stuff. So I don't know, but
Hmm.
I'm kind of holding. I hope it's the remake. Fire Sprite, which they mostly do. I think like VR based games,
Hmm.
but are like they're mostly like a support studio. They are rumored to be working on the Twisted Metal game that's supposed to come out with the TV show
Okay.
sometime this year. So there's that. But I think was it, the people that were making the people that did the Destruction All Stars game that came out at launch.
Yes.
Um, they were originally working on it, and then they got taken off of it, and Fire Sprite's working on it. But now that studio that was working on Destruction All Stars is now working with Rare on Sea of Thieves. So
Interesting.
yeah. Gorilla, I mean, I don't think we're gonna see anything from them, obviously, because they just had a game come out and then DLC coming out. Housemark, but I guess at that point it's been 2 years, so I don't think we'll see anything. And they just did the Returnal DLC
Yeah, it's too early for
last
Housemark.
year. Yeah. Um, Insomniac, we already know kind of like their schedule. We already know their schedule.
Oh, we already know what they're doing.
Yeah, we already know their next two games. London Studios, they're usually like the VR team. Um, I don't they haven't said what they're making yet, so maybe they're gonna announce something there. Um, Media Molecule, like that's the Dreams and Little Big Plan Studio. I don't know what the hell they do. Like, I really I don't know how they. I don't know. I feel like Dreams had to lose money. I don't know. Um, and we have not seen much of Dreams since that game launched. And
No,
that game launched like 3 years ago.
it was ambitious at best, and unfortunately, it did not do the sales of what it could have potentially have done. But at the same time, with some of those creation games, it's either hit or miss. It could be like
Mm,
something that incredibly captures the imagination of some people, or it would just be the exact opposite, to where barely anybody even tries it after launch, and then only a few stay on and make some interesting stuff.
yeah. Like even I mean Mario Maker 2 was considered as a disappointment because it just did not really even though it sold better than Mario Maker 1,
Hmm.
it just did not have the tail that Mario Maker 1 didn't really capture the audience like the first one
Right.
did. Um, See here, Naughty Dog. I mean, I think Last of Us Factions. We already kind of know they're making whatever they're going to call it. Um, I think that's the only thing I think they're going to make. Like Neil Druckmann did an interview recently. He talked about that the last few games they made, they kind of announced them too early, and it kind of stressed out the studio and kind of expectations kind of blew up. I mean, obviously, they lived up to them, but I feel like that expectation probably gets a little harder. It's a little harder to meet the match every time. They kind of builds every time, and who the fuck knows what's gonna happen with this Last of Us Faction game. So I feel like yeah, I think we almost have to hear from at least see something from that game the next time they do like a showcase. Um, we have some other studios here like Polyphony. They're the Gran Turismo guys. I don't think we're gonna hear anything from them.
Uh,
Nixus, which is the PC port studio.
hmm.
Um, Pixel Opus, which they did the Concrete Genie game. Um,
That's a
it's a
potential
small
VR game that could be announced.
a VR game, or like another smaller like AA PlayStation game. Because that game came out in 2019, I believe.
Yes.
So it's been a long time since we've seen from them. San Diego Studios. No, that's MLB. I always mix it up with Sucker Punch. I don't know why. Sucker Punch is the other big one. San Diego Studios. That's God of War. We're not gonna hear from them probably for a long time. Sucker Punch. They're the Ghost of Tsushima people.
That's interesting.
That's
Possibly
been
maybe hit some form of hints, but Ghost of
so
Tsushima came out around 2020.
July 2020. But then we did have the DLCs, the free um, update with like the multiplayer stuff. They did do the DLC that came out
Hmm.
a year, like I want to say like sometime in early 2021 sometime. So
Yes.
it's possible that maybe they're a ways off still, but maybe we get like a tease of what they're working on. But we've already seen like job postings that they're working on the like a multiplayer game that's sounds like Ghost of Tsushima too.
Yep.
So yeah, and then also the last one that's not in there that's not like I'm looking at like the PlayStation website of all their studios. They have the Haven studio, which is the Jade Raymond studio. Um, but I don't think we're going to see anything from that for them for a while because they literally just built that studio.
Hmm.
And I think they just bought that studio like a year and a half ago. And they're literally hiring people at that point. So I think
It's way
they're
too
a
early.
ways off. Yeah. But there seems like a decent amount there. And plus, they can have like whatever third party deals they make. So they've done a good job of getting some third party people working with them. And maybe we see Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Gables.
Mm.
I don't know. That's my get ready, get hype moment. All right, Gables. Well, let's get into some. We got a lot of like financial stuff here going on with a bunch of public companies here from video games. We got like Nintendo here first off. We always go kind of deep dive on Nintendo stuff because they just give a lot more than everybody else.
Right.
Switch has now officially sold 122.55 million units, making them the third highest selling of all time. They passed the 3DS, not 3DS. They passed
The
Game
PS4.
Boy and PS4. Yeah, Game Boy and PS4 were the two. They went from sixth to third.
Yep.
Sixth to third, yes. I can do math. It's midnight here. Leave me alone. Um, but yeah, so they're not there, but they are like the DS is at 154 and the PS2 is at 155. So they got a ways to go on that. It looks like overall, like the Switch Lite sales have gone down quite a bit. They've gone down almost like double-digit percent. Same with the base Switch has, but the Switch OLED has gone up like 9%. So overall, Switch unit sales are down. They talked a lot to the shortages we've had with
Right.
the semiconductor. Um, but so yeah, but I mean, not. I mean, I think it's sold like 18 million units so far this year, or they're projecting it'll sell about 18 million units for the full fiscal year, which year 6 of a console generation. That's really really good.
Yeah, it is.
But I do not. I mean, we're about 33 million away from them passing the PS2. Uh, does not seem likely at that point. I mean, you gotta have.
Well, you may say that, but at the same time, this is the same console that has been defying a lot of sales things regardless to its entire life cycle. I mean,
Yeah,
quite
but I mean,
honestly, I still kind of believe, though, that they will probably eventually do another price cut on that
they
Switch
never.
system.
Well, not another. They've never done a price cut. They've only increased the price. So
Well, in some aspects, yes. But in regards to that, if this is before like a initial price cut upon it, I mean, I could potentially see them doing that this year if they, especially since
they
they've
just talked
increased a
about
lot of their works, you know?
they just talked about there's no plans to do. They just what's the name of the CEO of Nintendo? I forgot. I don't remember his name. I never can remember his name. But he just did an interview. And he talked about that there's no plans. Someone asked him directly, and he
Right.
said there's no plans of a. I mean, they just raised the price of the video game, so I doubt they're going to do a price cut. But I don't think they're going to do it this year. But I can definitely see them maybe towards the hall. I shouldn't say this year, but maybe towards the holidays, maybe next year sometime, or like next fiscal year, like
Right.
April 2024. Maybe then they do it.
Okay,
But
that makes a lot of sense.
yeah, I just man, because like they're projecting. I think they're planning to hit around 18, 19 million again next fiscal year, which
Hmm.
would put them in like the low 140s. I mean, by then you let's fucking hope there's a Switch 2 or something, because I can't imagine another going into April 2024 without any either substantial rumors or actual like they've talked about it. Furkara, thank you, Justin. Justin's in the chat. Um, I always forget his name. I could see, I could picture the fucker, but I just can't. But I can't remember his name. But yeah. So I don't think it's impossible, but I don't think it's likely at this point. Because I mean, they'd have to have really great back to like really just two more fantastic years. Um, if they do get it, I think it'd be like with a whimper, where like they're selling like a couple million here and there, and like the last few years, and they just kind of keep a tail going. Maybe if they actually do like it's like a Switch 2 upgrade thing, where it's their cross-platform in a way. I could see it there. But if it's a typical Nintendo where it's a clean cut, like they're not like Xbox and PlayStation where we support it for 2 more years. Typically they come out, maybe the launch Zelda game goes on both, but typically we're cutting you off, and you got if you want the new hotness, you got to buy the new hotness. So I don't know. It's not I don't think it's impossible, but I think it's unlikely. But I think they'll get there. But they are at 994 million units sold for the overall unit, or not units sold, but copies sold of games for the Switch. They've been in second for a long time. It's actually a huge gap between like third and like the previous second and first. PS2 as at 1.5 billion. So Switch is probably already at a billion at this point because this is all based off of December 31st. Um,
Okay.
but I don't think they're gonna hit that either. But it's not impossible because that includes games that sell for like $1. So I mean, if you sell a bunch of those, it's not impossible to think that they might hit that. But yeah, I mean, it's because that's like 506 million more to go. I don't know if that's impossible, but some other fun stuff here. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet in 6 weeks sold 20 8.61 million units. Um, they're already in the top 10 best-selling Switch games. We'll talk about that here in a minute.
Mm.
Splatoon 3 is at 10.13 million units sold.
Okay.
Switch Sports, you pieces of shit, 8.61 million. And Kirby actually sold another million units in Q4 for 2022 for us, Q3 for them, for fiscal. 3.4 million units overall. Some other stuff here. Bayonetta 3 has sold 1.04 million units in the first 2 months out. It's outsold, or it's sold about what the Bayonetta bundle has done overall. But I don't think it sounds like it's a little lower than they anticipated. But actually, Breath of the Wild outsold Bayonetta 3 in the last quarter. So I don't know. I don't know if that's impressive or if that's bad. I'm not sure. I don't really know what that says. Some other stuff here. Xenoblade 3 is selling slower than Xenoblade 2 at this point. It has already outsold the original Xenoblade game. Which I think was just a remaster, right, Gables?
Yeah, well, yeah, the original Xenoblade, the definitive edition, was a remaster of the
Was it a Wii game?
Wii. Yeah, the
Okay.
Wii original and also 3DS port.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize the 3DS port too. Okay, but yeah, so it's already outsold Xenoblade the remaster, but it is behind. It's selling slower than Xenoblade 2. But it sounds like they're expecting a longer tail for that game because of the
Hmm.
DLCs. But who knows? Let's talk about the overall top 10 selling games for the Switch.
Okay.
Number 10, Gables. Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, 15.07 million.
Okay.
Ring Fit Adventure, 15.22 million.
Yeah.
I'm still blown away by that because that game was like actually selling completely like poorly, and then like because it came out like I think like last like it was like spring summer 2019,
Yep.
and then COVID hit, and people were like people were like selling that game like used or selling it for like
Hmm.
$200 on eBay.
Yes, they were.
So I mean that game blew up because of COVID. Super Mario Party 18.79 million units sold. I wonder how the other one, the other Mario Party game is doing. I didn't see any updates on that one.
Oh, Mario Party
Uh,
Superstars.
yeah, I don't know.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. Um, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet though already at what 10, 9, 8, 7 overall 20.61 million units.
Wow.
Super Mario Odyssey 25.12 million units. Pokemon Sword and Shield 25.68. Still overall the best selling Pokemon games ever. But I imagine Scarlet and Violet at this pace will probably beat it fairly comfortably.
Yeah. Wait for the
Especially
next
if
expansion or some or two
yeah,
come out for that damn thing, and then like all of a sudden it'll just be the best selling.
yeah. And there's been some rumors that there's going to be a 4 part DLC for that game
Hmm.
for Scarlet and Violet. That's kind of what I've been hearing out in the wild. Speaking of the wild, Breath of the Wild, 29 million units sold. I want to know if that only includes the Switch version. I want to know how well that game sold on the Wii U, because that sold like over a million at like launch on the Wii U. So I'd like to see the overall numbers for that thing.
Right. Right.
Because remember there was that joke for a while because the Breath of the Wild had sold more copies than the Switch had sold units for a long time. Um, I'd like to see where it is now. Obviously, I'm sure the Switch has surpassed it, but I think it's still funny. Super Smash Brothers at number 3 here,
Mm-hmm.
30.44 million units sold. Animal Crossing New Horizons, 41.59 million units sold.
Yep.
Mario Kart 8, 52 million units sold. But I found out recently, I talked about this, and it kind of grinds my gears when I do this. That includes the bundle where they give you a free copy of Mario Kart 8 when you
Mm.
buy Switch. They've been doing it for like I think like every holiday since the Switch has been out. Um, I want to know what the sales are. Subtract that. Come on, that doesn't count. It's like when you hear people say, "Ooh, well, Super Mario Brothers is the best selling game of all time." No one fucking ain't. It's a free goddamn packet. It's like, oh, well, Wii Sports sold over 100 million. No, it goddamn didn't. Didn't sell anything. It's like when the Game Boy Color being one console. It's not fucking one console. Uh, sorry. It's just it's
Mm.
of all the pet peeves, that's one of them. I don't know why. I should probably care about real things, but this is what bothers me. This is just what keeps me up at night. Uh, anything like kind of like shocking you with this stuff, Gables? Though?
In terms of shocking, I mean, the top five really doesn't surprise me in all in regards to the sales numbers and stuff. We kind of expected Mario Kart 8 to be the number one and Animal Crossing to be the number two. Those have sold extremely well during their releases. Constant content being put out now for Mario Kart 8, especially with the wave stuff. I mean,
Yeah,
come on. If you get the expansion stuff, you get the free, like, pass or pay 25 and get all these waves of friggin' tracks, including the newest track that they just unveiled in terms of
Yoshi
Yoshi's
Island,
Island. That
Birdo.
looks so fucking cool. I mean, I
Yeah,
like that Yoshi's Island one. But in regards to that, I mean, the fact that Scarlet and Violet are inside that top 10 already, granted, there are elements of it I'm not too surprised about because brand new Pokemon game, even despite the flaws that it had at launch, it's still one of the best selling games of the year last
yeah.
year.
Um,
Uh,
yeah, pretty incredible. Um, but also they announced that in Japan, all Nintendo employees will get a 10% raise. So
hey, there you go.
that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Even despite numbers being down. Meanwhile, every company here is laying off thousands of employees. Um, but oh, Justin just sent me a thing here. Oh, he's gonna argue with me.
Uh oh.
Justin says, I think Wii Sports is even more impressive than selling that many copies. It sold that many systems. They have it all wrong, I tell you. Same with Mario Brothers. Justin, shut the fuck up. Piece of shit. I hate you. I understand your argument, but you're still wrong. You know what sold the NES? It wasn't Super Mario Brothers. It was Friday the 13th. My first game I ever played. Moving on. I don't like your silence right now, Gables. I don't like your silence at all. It's bothering me. I feel like you're judging me, and I don't like it. Also, Kid Icarus. That's what sold the NES. That's what saved video games. Um, Moving on. Square Enix quarters. We got not a lot here. Mostly just want to make fun of them. Sales down 7% overall in 2022. Uh, in 2022, Gables, you want take a guess. How many games do you think they released?
Okay, what are we talking about now?
Square Enix
How many games they released
in 2022.
in 2022? Oh god, that's a tough one. There's like maybe a couple that I can think about.
Uh-huh. Take a shot. Let's take a wild guess.
Five.
35.
35. Okay, so I was way off.
Yeah, because we would regularly make fun of them for putting out like 7 games in 1 month. Um, Gables, I'm telling you, I tried to find a list that would include all of the games, and
Yeah.
I just can't find them all. But I went to Metacritic, and they did a decent job of finding a good chunk of them. So here's just a good chunk because the 35 games includes ports.
Oh wow. Okay.
Um, so this was impressive. Overall sales were down
Hmm.
compared to 2021, uh, but they released 35 games. Here's some of the games they released: Circuit Superstars,
Okay.
Life is Strange Before the Storm remastered,
Okay.
and that came to everything. Dying Light 2,
Okay.
which seems like it did pretty good overall. Um, what else we got here? Uh, what the fuck? Kingdom Hearts Integrum Masterpiece for Cloud. Is that the music one?
I'm not sure about that one,
Okay.
unfortunately.
All right. We have the Kingdom Hearts 1.5 stuff that came to Switch Cloud. Voice of Cards. Don't even know what that is. We had like Final Fantasy 6 Pixel remaster. Hitman Sniper came to iOS. Babylon's Fall, Gables. Rest in
Yep.
peace. You want to know what that game is? Metacritic score is
I want to guess a 35.
1.4.
One point.
Uh,
Ugh.
yeah. So and that game is
Ugh.
dead at the end of the month. So not doing great. Triangle Strategy. Hey, nice
There
turnaround
you
here. Chocobo GP.
go. Oh
One
yeah.
of my favorite games of the year. Strangers of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origins. Chrono Cross, The Radical Dreamers.
Hmm.
So some good stuff in here. But Echo of Mana. It's an iOS game. The Sentinel Case, which actually has a 77, but I don't know what that game is. Um, Dragon Quest Builders came to iOS.
Hmm.
Outriders World Slayer. That was the expansion for Outliers
Yep.
or Outlanders. Yeah, God damn it. Outriders. I could talk.
Outriders. Yeah.
Power Wash Simulator. Actually,
Yep.
they published that game. Um, People that may not know that. Live Alive,
Yep.
really good game for a lot of people. There's an Octopath Traveler iOS game. Various Day Life. May we not forget.
That's right.
That was one of the 19 like weird farming simulator games they announced at that weird Nintendo Direct that we'll never talk about again. Uh, Dio Field Chronicles. Um,
Yep.
Life is Strange Arcadia Bay Collection. I don't know what the difference is between. Oh, this is the Switch one. Okay. Uh, Valkyrie Asylum. Um,
Elysium.
okay. Elysium. Whatever. Same thing. No one cares. They did the Nier Automata port to the Switch.
Yep.
Um, Star Ocean Divine Force.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Harvestella. That game was so bad that they didn't send out review copies to journalists until the Monday. The game came out on a Friday. They didn't send the codes out until the following Monday. Um, so that should tell you about the game. Tactics Ogre Reborn. I am very tired. I apologize. Um, let's see here. Front Mission First Remake. Romancing Saga. Minstrel Song Remastered. Dragon
Okay.
Quest Treasures. Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core.
Okay.
We're on the 2023. I got the Forspoken. But not a banger, not a banger year for games for them. And I think part of the reason why you look at 2021, they released Final Fantasy 14 Endwalker. That game was so popular, they literally had to stop selling it because they could not keep making, the game couldn't run anymore because they were so overwhelmed. And then
Yep, I remember
Final
that.
Fantasy VII Remake came to PS5 and PC, and also we had the expansion for that as well. So yeah, I don't know a lot to add on that. That was when I saw the 35 games were released, I had to go find out. And that's some of the shit I could find. Some other stuff here. PlayStation announced PS5 has sold 32 million units overall. Sold 7.1 million in the last quarter, which was double what they did in the previous year. So they did talk about like kind of like it's been that way for a little while now, but it's kind of like if you want a PS5, you might have to work a little bit, but overall it's not. You can get one if you just do a little bit of work, you could find one now. And then people are saying they've been seeing them in the stores, a couple in the stores here and there. I know you said you found some, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Honestly, what's kind of funny about that is I found PS5s, the God of War edition, God of War Ragnarok edition, and stuff in stock like a couple weeks ago. Went into Walmart yesterday. Those are sold out, and there's a whole bunch of freaking, a whole freaking bunch of like console packages of like the PS4 with Modern Warfare too.
Yeah, yeah. I heard that. I think they had a bunch of like unsold PS4s because they stopped making them. They made like a bunch at the beginning of the year because they couldn't at the beginning of last year because people were trying to buy consoles still because of
Yep.
but they couldn't get a PS5. So it sounds like they like redid those ones and they just did a bundle with Call of Duty. So um, very weird though. Overall though, first party games sold 20 million copies for them. They also announced that God of War Ragnarok has sold 11 million copies in the first 7 weeks
Yep.
out. So really good for them. Take Two, some stuff here. Typically we don't talk about them, but it was a pretty interesting quarter they talked about here. So about biggest releases for the quarter included Marvel's Midnight Suns, PGA Tour 2K23, new Tales of the Borderland, none of which hit the sales numbers that they were hoping for. But they did talk about like Midnight Suns was not a huge success for them, but they did mention that like coming out in early December, probably a bad time.
Right.
But also they like I don't know, like Tales of the Borderland, like they announced that game, like they put a release date out for that game, like 6 weeks before the game came out. Um, PGA Tour, I don't even think most people even know that game exists. So not too shocking that those games did not sell super well. NBA 2K23 sold 8 million units in the first quarter it was out, which was actually 3 million units more than the previous year. So good bump for them. So the kind of the main thing here, GTA 5 has now sold over 175 million copies. Red Dead Redemption 2 sold actually 4 million units last quarter, and now has broken the 50 million unit mark. So
Wow.
it's funny because like I feel like a lot of people like we talk about like kind of Red Dead Redemption 2 kind of I don't want to say disappointment, but did not like it hasn't had that tail that like it wasn't like in the big talk about wasn't like kind of we weren't really talking about after that game came out. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's hard, come off GTA 5 to kind of have to put another one of those out, especially.
And also, kind of Rockstar didn't do a good job in terms of maintaining the online portion of Red Dead Online too. I
Yeah,
mean, that's partially the blame to it as well.
Yeah, I mean they pretty much already stopped support on that one and went back to GTA 5. So, and I think
Hmm.
that kind of game is also it's a I mean it sold 50 million units, so I don't want to say it's a niche audience, but it's a much more niche audience than GTA 5 is. So, um, but some of the stuff out here. So I don't Zelnick is the last name of the CEO of Take Two, but they talk about like, overall numbers were down for them, and they're actually going to look like they're going to take a loss in this quarter in the quarter. But I thought this is kind of interesting when we said here because we don't see this from a CEO. When the results are poor, I take personal responsibility for them. Our teams are delivering and over delivering. They're delivering hits. That's what they're supposed to do. I couldn't be more proud of them personally. I have to work. I have work to do to make sure we run this business efficiently and that we deliver results over time, and that's what I aim to do, which is really cool. Typically we don't see that, when it's like, hey,
No.
I fucked up, but they're gonna try. They're gonna try to cut about 150 million dollars in cost. He will not be taking a pay cut though, but layoffs are possible. So it's his fault
Okay.
that they're not meeting the demand. People are because all these games come out, they reviewed really well, and they typically, these games sell extremely well. But
Hmm.
he took personal blame for it. But hey, I'm not taking a pay cut. But we will lay you off. I always think that's interesting. But I don't know. I thought that's kind of cool. Iwata remains the goat though of big CEOs of companies. Um,
Hmm.
but some other stuff here. Let's get some other news, Gables. What's the time code here? Sorry, I'm trying to do 15 things at once. All right, Gables. Uh, you might
Yes.
know this game. Fire Emblem Genealogy of the Holy War
Okay.
is a
Genealogy of the
Super
Holy
Nintendo
War.
Fire Emblem game that only came in Japan.
Okay, I may know like a little bit about it, but I'm not like entirely educated about it. All I know is that it was in Japan only. Super Famicom. It was on the Super Famicom. I think well, this one had to do with one of the first games. No, probably one of the main games and stuff for Marth. I have to say, but as far as like the receptions and everything else goes, I mean, I don't know much of anything about it, unfortunately. I mean, there's some Fire Emblem games I know like some about, some I know a lot about, but it wasn't until like Fire Emblem really became popular inside the U.S. with the release of not just with Smash Bros. Melee, but like also in terms of Path of Radiance.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a little bit about that, but it's sort of the genealogy war and stuff. All I know is that it was a Super Famicom game that did well in Japan, but I do know it was centered around Mars, but everything else I'm not too sure of.
Okay. Well, you might know more because they're doing a full blown remake for that game. It's supposed to come out sometime next year.
Interesting.
Yes. So,
That's interesting.
yeah.
Well, hmm.
Also, some other stuff here. PlayStation might have leaked that they bought Ballistic Studios. You may not know what that studio is. I didn't know what that studio was either. But there was a job posting for PlayStation, and they mentioned like you're going to work with our studios and in all a bunch of their studios. Ballistic Studios was mentioned there. I Google searched them. There was a news report article from last year that they're working with PlayStation to put out like a AAA game for them. And some of the stuff that we understand here is that they're working on a single player narrative game for a AAA single player narrative game for PS5, codenamed Project Bates. This team is mostly deprived of super massive games people, so like the Until Dawn devs. So
Hmm.
this has me excited
Interesting.
because I am a huge fan of supermassive games. I'm literally finally playing, just got around to playing Devil in Me this week. But yeah, it's kind of weird. Like it's funny because they accidentally leaked that they bought Blue Point last or 2 years ago, and then now they might
Hmm.
have leaked that they bought Ballistic Studios. Also, last thing here, last case of Benedict Fox, which is like a really cool like side scroller game that was announced at the Summer Game Fest Xbox Showcase last year. It's coming to Game Pass day one. It's coming on April 27th, so not too far out. So
Okay.
that was one of like the 35 games I talked about that are coming in the next 12 months last June. So yeah, it's pretty exciting there. So but that's pretty much it for news this week, Gables. Let's jump into what we're playing. It's okay if I go first, buddy.
Okay. Yep. Go ahead.
All right, cool. Let me just do a time code here. Boom, 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 boom. All right. I played 5 games this week, but I'm gonna run through some of these. Devil in Me, playing that one, liking it a lot. I'll talk about more probably next week because I'm going to try to beat it because they're not very long games. Um, I beat in one sitting this morning Super Mario Land 2 from Game Boy. I talked about it during the Nintendo Direct podcast that like I love that
Mm-hmm.
game growing up, but I could never beat it. I always get to like the last level with Wario, and I could just never beat that last castle. Ended up beating that game. It's just like it's funny. It took me like an hour and a half. I beat the game. It's like okay,
Yeah, it's not a particularly long game,
no,
but what does take long is getting through certain portions of the last
yeah,
level.
that last level is a bitch. Luckily, Gables save states are a thing because and the rewind function because made it a lot easier. But it was cool. Like I'm talking about like I love that game growing up, but I beat all those bosses a million times. I could just never beat the final boss. It was kind of cool. Like there's like a monkey off my back. What else did I play? Metroid Prime. I played a few hours. I bought the remaster. Gables. I'm not trying to talk shit about this game. I just don't think it's for me. I just don't think I
Oh,
like
really?
Metroid games. Yeah, I got very frustrated multiple times. Just of like, because I don't. I feel like I waste a lot of time, just like where the fuck am I supposed to go? Because I don't like to look up walkthroughs. Um,
Okay.
and I finally broke down, and like oh, I'm supposed to like backtrack all the way to the very beginning, like because I was in the like the ice area of the game.
Mm-hmm.
I've
Yep.
I've been through like the jungle area, the fire area. Now I'm in like the ice area. Um,
Okay.
and I did a bunch of shit there. And then I'm like, I don't know where to go from here. And like, there's like a door over here that I couldn't get to. I'm like, how the fuck am I supposed to get there? I'm like, am I even supposed to go there? I don't know. And then I finally looked up a walkthrough and I looked up a YouTube video. I'm supposed to go all the way back to the very beginning where you land your spaceship. And there's a door you can finally get into now. And in that door is like some space boots that like allow you to double jump. And I'm like, how the fuck was I supposed to know that? Like, this is why I didn't beat that game back in the day.
Hmm.
I don't know. I got very mad and I rage quitted. So I'm probably gonna go back, but I had to just kind of. What sucks is like more so than anything is like
Hmm.
it's just a bitch to get back there because like everything every time you leave the room all the enemies and everything resets.
Uh-huh.
Uh, so it's like I'm gonna have to go all the way to the other side of the map to go there, get that one thing, and then go all the way fucking back and do this fight all over again. And it's probably like 20 minutes of doing this shit, but it's like I just don't want
That's
to do it.
that's kind
And
of
like I'm
interesting
super.
though, because I
Yeah.
know I know for some points and stuff they'll give you a little bit of like pops on your map or something where you need to go to in order to try to find certain things. But in terms of backtracking inside of that game, I'm trying to remember. It's been such a long time since I played it and stuff. But so you're the ice level. We're pretty close to that boss called Sheegoth or something like that over there.
I beat the one where you got like blow. You got like the plant one. I beat that one.
Okay, the plant with the Flagra or whatever the hell
Yeah.
it's called.
Yeah. I just got the boost ball.
Okay, the boost
So
ball. Okay,
yeah.
but yeah, in regards to backtracking and stuff like that, sometimes it's not going to be as remotely obvious, but at the same point, it highly encourages you to scan everything in that regards.
Oh, I've been scanning shit, but that doesn't help me.
No, no,
I'd
no,
say yeah,
no.
go here now.
There's some that could
It
be completely worthless, but there's going to be quite a few that will help you out in that regards. But
yeah.
in regards to the whole going back and forth between that ice world and stuff into the beginning of the game and stuff like that, I mean, what was it that you needed in order to get past that door to begin with?
I need like the space boot things that like help you like you can do like almost like a double jump thing where you can like you kind of like float. You can do longer jumps
Okay,
to
so
get to a platform so I can jump over to get to it.
so what I'm trying to understand is like at the beginning of the game you couldn't go through the specific door that has those boots probably because you didn't.
I don't believe so because no, you can't because you have to like go through the fire area to get to this area that's higher
Yep.
up that you can't jump up to. So then you got to go through that
Hmm.
door and then you can jump over to these platforms to get to that door.
Yep. Okay.
But there's no way to get there from like the spaceship itself.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. So they have to go through all the
So
platforming, the fire stuff, like the
yeah,
Magmore kind of
yeah.
caverns and
So
stuff.
yeah, it's like
Okay.
I've gone
Okay.
like 15 minutes this direction when I could have just went 5 minutes that way initially and just fucking got it. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm
Little
trying to
things like that.
understand little
I don't
bits of
I
what
don't
you're saying and stuff like that, and that
yeah
kind of get me into a better perspective of it. When
yeah.
eventually I do go
It's
through
one
and
of those
play
things
this
where
game,
I
I'll see what you're talking about.
yeah I don't know. It's one of those things where I feel like I don't like my time being wasted. Um, and I shouldn't say wasted, but it's like when I'm trying to play a game, I don't want to like. I understand when you die, you got to repeat
Uh
shit.
huh.
That's fine. I get that. But I just hate it when it's like, all right, cool, we're not gonna tell you where to go. You just gotta figure it out. Um, I spent like an hour just like walking around trying to figure this shit out, and I'm like, oh, I go fucking, I don't know. It just kind of irritated me. I had to rage quit. But I don't know if I'm done, but I had to walk away for a little bit. Next up, Gables. I finally played Forspoken.
Okay.
I played about 6 hours of
Okay.
it, and I went in, and I was like, I'm gonna, like I know the reviews are bad, but I was like, I'm just kind of like, the way the internet was talking about this game was just kind of irritating me a little bit because like everybody went nuts over that. Like there was that trailer, like a 30-second trailer that just ripped on the dialogue of that
Mm-hmm.
game back in like June, or it was over the summer sometime. And I'm like, I watched trailer, and I'm like, this is before I even heard it. I just watched the trailer,
Yep.
and I'm like, oh, whatever. They didn't really stand out negative or like overly negative or like overly positive. It's like, okay, whatever. But then I saw like the discourse online about it. I'm like, I feel like we're overreacting. And the internet has had a hard on from this game to this. They've been wanting to shit on this game forever. Um, and then the reviews came out, and I was like, all right, cool. Like, we could
Yep.
finally explode. We can let loose because the reviews are exactly what we wanted this to be. So we can make fun of it. So I put about 6 hours into it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not a good game.
Okay.
I will admit that. Like, I am not going to defend it. On like, uh, there's a reason why it's like I think a 70 or a 69 or something like that on
It's in the
open
middle
critic.
of the road.
Yeah, it's not a terrible game. It's not a great game either. But it is. There is some cool shit in here, but they make it so fucking hard to like let you enjoy the cool things. Like the
Mm-hmm.
first, like it takes like 3 hours to finally get going. Like to literally finally get into the open world section of the game, and then you do
Wow.
one mission. I spent like probably 45 minutes just fucking around in the open world, and then I went and did the mission, and then I went and like timing right back up into more story shit. That was like now you're like containing this little bubble here, and then I spent like another hour plus doing that, and then it took me right. Then I was finally able to be free again. Um, it's a map game, but it's not like a bloated map game like Assassin's Creed stuff like that. Like that's what kind of what I was reading about it, and that's kind of the hope I had for it. Is like I like a good map game, and it all depends on the loop. It's like every map game is based off how good the combat can be, and then the loop of that game. And like Ghost of Tsushima or Assassin's Creed or any like Watch
Right.
Dogs, shit like that. Like it's all based on how much are that are Fallout 4. Like I didn't like that loop of the game. People spend thousands of hours because they love the loop of that game so much. Um, and the loop doesn't seem awful, but it has like the weird orb thing. Like like I remember Crackdown had the orbs they would use to
Yep.
power up. They're just everywhere. And my problem is, it's kind of like the Lego games. Like I like those games, but they gave me really bad anxiety because I have to like impulsively like OCD get all of them, and they're just everywhere in this fucking map. So that's a problem.
Oh
But I
boy.
can get around that. I've played other games. I can get past it. That's fine. I just gotta collect them all. Um, but like the combat is pretty good, and I actually kind of like Frey in the cuff a little. Like definitely some of the dialogue is kind of weird. It's like it was a weird game where like a lot of serious shit is happening, but like they're not taking it. She's not taking it seriously. But
Mm-hmm.
also there's moments where like something serious happens, and then like there's a serious cutscene, and then like 10, 15 minutes later, we're just like cracking jokes again. And I know like the video game, whatever, but it's like it's kind of weird. We're off on this vendetta. Like you're trying to get revenge. Like minor spoilers, I guess, if you give a fuck. Like there's this kid you meet early in the game, in the world, and like she helped like a little like a child, like 6, 7 year old child, and she helps you out, and you kind of like befriend her, and then you get like you fight the first boss fight, and in the boss fight she kills that kid,
Mm-hmm.
and then the boss gets away, and then like the first like main mission is like you're gonna go there and meet her, and then you're gonna go kill her, and there's this whole serious cutscene where like she's like all she doesn't give a shit about, saving the king like this world. She just wants to get back to New York. And I'm like, okay. And then finally, this is like, okay, I want to get revenge. I want to kill these fuckers. I want to, get revenge for this girl. And I'm like, okay, I can see now why. All right, makes sense. Easy. It's an easy thing to do, but I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on board with that. Killing kids, never good. I want revenge too. And then like just 10 minutes later, we're just cracking wise about shit. And I was like, or like like one point you're fighting a dragon, and it's like it's a pretty crazy moment where you're just a person in New York, a homeless person in New York, and all of a sudden you're fighting this dragon, and like you're just like goofing around about it, like cracking jokes. I'm like, this is really weird. It's almost, I don't know. It's like I don't know if they know the tone of this game.
It sounds like they're
And
pretty tone deaf.
yeah, where it's like they want to be quippy, but it doesn't really match like what the game is, you know. Um, and I was reading about the game, and I'm not gonna be like the guy that like always says this, but I feel like in this situation, it it's a decent argument to make in this case. So you play as like a 20-year-old black girl from New York.
Hmm.
The writing staff in this game had zero women, zero black people, zero people that were like younger people, and zero people from New York. So it's like nobody knows anything that can meet the culture because like I was definitely felt like in the way that like she was talking, Frey would talk. I was like I don't I'm not gonna say like I'm you know I'm 30 almost 34 years old. I am not a hip guy whatsoever, but I work with a lot of younger people. I talk to a lot of younger people. I'm online. I have a decent idea how they talk. They don't sound anything like this.
Mm-mm.
The way they talk, and so I feel like in this case is a decent argument for maybe that's part of the problem. Is like this. It's like almost like they had like a bunch of middle-aged people try to like make a character that talks what they think a 20-year-old talks like.
Right,
Um,
right.
because there's like a whole situation where like in the beginning of the game, like you're just some poor kid, like literally you're orphaned as a child. You live like in like an abandoned apartment complex where you have to like sneak into a window, and literally she has a like a mattress on the floor. There's no box spring, anything like that. No TV, no nothing. She has nothing. She has a cat. Uh, but she has a collection of shoes, and she just keeps talking about her kicks all the time. It's just very weird the way this whole thing went down. Um, I don't know. I'm think I try to give I get my best. I did my best to give it like a real shot, and I just think I'm done.
Mm.
Um, like I said, I give it all 6 hours. Um, but last up, I played Hi-Fi Rush. I beat Hi-Fi Rush. Gables.
Okay.
Um, this game is fucking fantastic. I understand why everybody's talking about this early game of the year contender. Obviously, it's it's February 12th in my time here. Uh, but yeah, I just love the this everything matches you. I keep people comparing like, oh, why does people like because like kind of like the way the character talks and the quippiness of the characters um, in Forspoken. People comparing Forspoken and Hi-Fi Rush, but it's like, well, Hi-Fi Rush is like a goofy game.
Hmm.
This game is overall it's just goofy. Um,
It knows it's goofy too.
yeah, and that like it fits for what this game is. Um, so yeah, fucking OBS is fucking up now. I'm gonna have to. They're not gonna be able to hear you for a minute, Gables, while I fix it. So give me 1 second. Um, but it's the this has worked out great that this game uh shadow dropping. So like because it's definitely like one of those things where I feel like almost could be like I don't want to say Forspoken itself because this game is actually like fantastic, where Forspoken is just not. Um, but this game could have definitely been like kind of we could have ran this game to the ground very easily, and they can hear you now. I fixed it.
Okay.
Um, but I just the way this game works with the whole like me being very much tone deaf. I have zero rhythm. I've tried playing these rhythm games in the past. I just can't do them because I just cannot stick to the beat. I don't understand the beat. I'll use the metronome. It makes no sense to me. I don't understand it. It's like a vagina. It makes zero sense. Okay. I've spent many of hours trying to figure it out. I don't get it. And I never will. um, but I burned myself in that one really badly. But
Uh,
I like I love the way the story is. I love the characters are fantastic. They all like I want to spend more time with them. I almost wish like because you can go back after every level. You go back to like a hub, like the hideout, and you talk. You can like have like optional conversations with them. And I just want to. I wish there was more. Like with we have Chai as your main character, um,
hmm.
but I forgot the girl's name. I'm not now. Corsica, who you add into the game later on as a character with you.
Hmm.
Um, if you, I wish she was real because I would definitely want to marry her. Do I like anime girls, Gables?
I don't know.
I
You
think I'm
tell
learning
me.
something about myself. I think I'm between Corsica and Hi-Fi Rush this week. And then what's the girl I was really into from was it Fire Emblem?
Oh, that was Camilla.
Camilla, yeah, Camilla. Yeah.
Uh-oh, Tyler's trying to get waifus.
Whew, man. Next this time next year I'm gonna have husbandos too. Um,
Jesus.
but yeah. 1 second here. I just love how like I love the way that like everything just fits. Um, with the characters, the story, the goofiness of it. I love like it's legitimately hilarious.
Mhm.
Like I talked about last week, like the amount of times Chai just lands on his fucking face is absolutely hilarious to me. Like all of it, it's like Looney Tunes kind of goofy, but it just hits. And like his quips, the way everybody like makes fun of him, the way he like accidentally makes fun of himself, all of it is just awesome. The music is fucking amazing. Justin also loves your Freddie Mercury shirt, by the way. I
Oh.
just want to point that out. I gave him props before the show as well. It's a fantastic shirt. If you're an audio listener, I apologize. Gables is wearing a Charlie Brown Freddie Mercury shirt, and it is S tier T-shirt. Yeah, like I said, like the comedy of it, the music is fucking awesome, and like sometimes like I was a little worried because like some of these levels are pretty long,
Mhm.
and every level has like 2 songs typically in it, but like a level can be anywhere from like 40 minutes to like an hour. And it's like, but it's kind of like playing like a kind of a beat over and over again. 'Cause
Yes.
obviously, kind of like it's important to know the beats for the fights, but I never got sick of it. But some of the best parts of this game is like, it took me about 10 hours a beat. Is the game just builds and builds and builds. Like the boss fights get bigger and better. They change it up. They add like a parry system in it, which got really tough for me because like that one you need to be able to hit the beat because you'll be like standing apart from each other and like it'll like kind of give you like it'll like do like a little thing above it there like the enemy's head to the beat where it's like all right dodge 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 do like a spin thing dodge or like counterattack dodge like it'll do it so like and it was hard like I've died many times um in these fights and the checkpointing obviously is really nice and that's great too but like I struggle in some of these fights and some of these boss fights are incredible like one of them is actually just like it is all parries because you're not trying to kill the person you're just trying to like because you want to take on like the 8 big bads
Mm-hmm.
and well, one of them is actually a fight where like you're trying to like fit this person to help you out like they're a good person they don't know what's going on and they're trying to like I don't want to fight you I want to help you and it's a really funny part where like you finally like convince her to like come work with you but then you gotta just make one more smart ass comment and it just pisses her off you're like oh my god I finally fucking beat her like I beat her with like just like a little bit of health and it's like thank god and then Chai makes a smart ass comment that just pisses her off and it gets to another phase of the boss fight and I'm like okay and like it's like Chai you fucking like you idiot why would you say that and he's like what did I say like he doesn't like he didn't understand what he said was like a stupid thing to say he's just like he thought he was actually saying something intelligent it's like all the stuff works and it's hilarious and then like you win this boss fight and then like the area you're in is like blowing up but she's like knocked out so you're like trying to like save her in this whole cutscene of like you like running through and you keep bonking her head on
Mm-hmm.
shit and then finally the last part is like all right you've hit her head on like 6 things now you want to um you like get this elevator so you're gonna go through this elevator door very very slowly because you keep hitting her head on shit and then you finally you go through the elevator but then the doors close on her head and it like all builds to that and it's hilarious it's all fucking funny I love all of it but like I said like the boss fights kind of build the second to last boss fight is amazing I don't want to spoil like every boss fight has like a different song to it and I don't want to spoil the song but the song choice oh chef's kiss it's amazing if I told you it would be sound goofy I don't want to tell you because I don't want to spoil it for anybody but
Okay.
it's awesome and then the final stage before the final boss fight that song is straight fucking hype I always thought about Final Fantasy VII remake should just be in the definition under the definition of hype should just be that a picture of the
Right,
boss
right,
of that
right.
game I'm replacing that with just I want the MP3 of that song to be the definition of hype because that's what that second to last level is hype. It is amazing. I had chills the entire time. I loved it. The build up, the way the characters all like, the way everything just comes together is awesome. It holy shit, I love this game. Um, I don't want to spoil anything else more, but my god, if you have Game Pass, Gables, what's Game Pass?
Oh, the best deal in gaming currently.
You're goddamn right. Current
Because there could
I
be
don't like.
something else on the horizon. You never know.
There's nothing else on the Rising Gables unless you're talking about PlayStation Plus. Um, but yeah, oh man, if you if you have Game Pass and you have or PC or anything that can play this game, fucking play this game or XCloud, whatever, any means necessary, buy the fucking game. It's $30, and it is definitely. It's not. I'm not like yeah, it's a game of the year contender because it's mid-February. Yeah, but do I think it's like yeah, I would be blown away if this game isn't in my top 10 list. I'd be blown away if the game isn't in my top 5 for 2023. So yeah, Hi-Fi Rush, highest recommends for me. 10 out of 10. That's what I'm playing. Games we've been playing.
All right. So, like I was saying before, when they got stealth dropped the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games onto the Switch Online, I had to go forth and try some stuff out, though. I mean, granted, the work week this past week and stuff kind of allowed it to where I could only maybe play like about an hour or something before I had nodded off to sleep. So what I did though was I went through and I beat Tetris and I beat freaking like a Wario Land, like Mega Micro games and stuff. and
Oh, okay.
and that's just the kind of funny thing. I think I beat like about 3 games. Now I think about it. Yeah, about 3 games. It was Tetris, Kirby's Dream Land, and then Wario Land, Mega Micro games and stuff. And the thing about it is, like the Game Boy games, like Tetris and Kirby's Dream Land, they're not particularly long. For Tetris, in order to beat it, you gotta get on level 9 and then 5 high and just clear that, and it'll actually go through the process of having the band and stuff play this musical thing, and then all of a sudden it goes to another cutscene of a space shuttle going and launching up in the air. That's how you know you beat the game. But for Kirby's Dream Land, one of the first platformers I've played on the Game Boy, kind of nostalgia thing. What's kind of hilarious is the games that I played this past week have mostly been kind of not callbacks to what I used to play as a kid, you know. So like I played a lot of Tetris when I was a kid. I played a lot of Kirby's Dream Land. Then, of course, Super Mario Land 2, the 6 golden coins. I was playing a little bit of that, though, before we came on to here. I've gotten all the coins except for the last one, which is like the tree with the friggin' bird and stuff that goes and swoops down with the egg and stuff. But the last one, the Wario Land, no, the WarioWare Mega Micro games and stuff. I love that mini game series. I love that thing for the Game Boy Advance. I distinctly had memories as a kid, like as a high school kid, going on school trips, bringing my disc player, bringing my CDs with me, popping in the Space Jam like freaking soundtrack, and then going through try to play some Mario Land, like no WarioWare on my Game Boy Advance SP, along with a couple other games I had with me, and it was
Gables, we
just
should do like. Sorry to cut you off. We should just do a podcast one day when we rank the Space Jam songs. I can spend 3 hours.
oh my gosh, yeah, that's definitely something. but but yeah, man, it's like the little mini games and stuff. They're always fun to go through. They don't take more than a few seconds to go forth and do. And I actually, when I went through and tried to focus to get through the game from beginning to end, I forgot how short the game is if you don't replay a lot of the different types of mini games and different types of chapters in regards to that. I do love the other types of little mini games, like in terms of the skateboarding one, and also it has the fly swatter mini game from Mario Paint. That's inside there as well as unlockable. There are a couple different characters that have sort of like retro callbacks and stuff. Like 9 Volt has like a bunch of retro inspired like mini games and stuff based upon certain NES or SNES games, like say Legend of Zelda. You know, you have Link in the original Legend of Zelda. All you have to do is just get into the freaking tunnel and stuff to go down, like go down to meet that dude and stuff like that. The first for
Yeah.
that one, that you have like
Dangerous to go alone. Take this.
yeah. Yeah, it's sort of like that. You know, it doesn't go into the entirety. It just has you as Link going down that staircase. But the other ones I can potentially think about are like playing as Mario and stuff and like just stomping on the Goomba. or like playing balloon fight and stuff, just try to avoid the little sparks and stuff that pop your balloons and stuff going into there. Those ones were always a fun one. I think one of my favorite ones has to involve like the character Mona, because she has these weird ass mini games and stuff, like you can brush your teeth instead of mini games, or you have to pick your nose or something like that. You have to time the button press of the 8 button so you can stick your entire finger up your nose or something. Or in regards to like there's this one strange kind of anime inspired one to where you have a picture of this lighthouse and you have this giant portrait of this woman and stuff, this beautiful woman, and all of a sudden you just see this trickle of snot go down her friggin' thing. You have to press the A button repeatedly in order to get it back up into her nose. it's
Ugh.
it's stuff like that that really made me play it a lot back then. Because man, the Game Boy Advance and the DS back then, man, I played a ton of because those were fun as hell. But man, I know that I was going to be playing a bunch of the Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and like Game Boy Advance stuff. I'm happy with that. What's kind of hilarious, I did try out Alone in the Dark, that game for the game,
Oh my
that Game Boy
god.
Color thing. I played it for a good 10 minutes before I went through and just decided to say, no, it's not for me. Because here's the thing, man. This game, this game looked like it did push the limits of the Game Boy Color in a way. It reminds me so much of like a terrible version of like Resident Evil because you're trying to solve this murder mystery, right? The game tells you almost next to nothing in regards to how you're navigating through different things or where you need to go. You pretty much have to figure it out on your own, but it gives you a little bit of synopsis of what you're doing there, and like there are some things you can find and kind of discover. It's kind of hilarious though. This is like it's like an M-rated game, right? But yet it's on the Game Boy Color. It's super limited in terms of what you can do. The color scheme of this thing is just kind of ghastly in regards to what you do. I mean, there's some bits of the game that kind of look kind of cool in some aspects of it, but it's not the kind of game for me. And I'm really questioning why they decided to put it on there, other than like probably licensing agreements with Konami, possibly, or I don't know what the hell the release the Alone in the Dark on the Game Boy Color. But what I'm saying is, though, if you're going to be playing these games like on the service provided, I would definitely go with the regular like first party games first.
Is Alone in the Dark? That's not Konami, is it?
I'm not sure. I thought it was Konami, but I could be wrong with that. I think it was at Infogrames, so that actually is like more of an Atari sort of thing.
Is it Atari? Okay. Oh, you're right. It is Atari.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it was
Oh yeah.
Atari.
Konami is Silent Hill.
Okay, Konami's Silent Hill, so I was more or less thinking of Atari because
Yeah.
Infogrames had.
Infogram is developer on it as well, but it looks like Atari is like owns it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Atari owns Infogrames, but Infogrames back in the day, they had the port of that on there, but they also went on to do like put out games in the Game Boy Advance in regards to the Dragon Ball Z series. That's the one I where I know most
Oh.
of all. Because
THQ Nordic bought the franchise from Atari
yeah,
in
so
2018. So now THQ Nordic owns it.
oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. But yeah, man, I'm kind of excited to try to delve back into like some of the other games on there. Like I haven't tried Minish Cap yet. I That's one of the games I've always wanted to beat, even back in the day, because I would get maybe
Oh
so
my,
much
really?
into it, never could
God,
finish it.
I beat that game on the Wii U with the gamepad like years ago. I just got hooked on the game for like 4 days.
That's the
It
thing,
was so
man.
good.
It's like I played a little bit of it. It's the thing with certain Zelda games. Sometimes I'll play a little bit of it, and sometimes I'll never go back to it until years later, and then finally beat it and stuff. But for that though, that's just kind of like how I am in sort of other aspects of certain games. Like for example, Ocarina of Time took me 4 years to beat that because of the lack of information back then. Plus, I had to get a guide freaking from Nintendo itself themselves. Joe's Max took me about 2 years. Of course, The Legend of Zelda. I mean, I played the original Legend of Zelda when it first came out on the Wii's Virtual Console, and it took me up until like around what was it, 2021 or 2020 to actually beat that game. But yeah, man, it's just I'm more excited now to play more of the virtual console stuff because of these stealth releases. But yeah, I know the Dead Space remastered and Fire Emblem Engage are really much on my docket too.
Son of a bitch.
Now, if as long as I can get enough time to actually go for them, play them without having to fall asleep after I get home, I mean, yeah, that's nice. That would be nice.
You wasted 10 minutes on Alone in the Dark when you could have played Dead Space remastered remake. God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah, yes, I
Final
could.
Fantasy 7 remake.
Hmm. Okay.
Curry, 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 Curry,
Kuru Kuru Kurin.
What the fuck ever. I can't do it. That's it. What was that weird? What was that weird Tetris game? I could Puyo Tetris.
Yep. You actually said it
It
right the
literally
first
took.
time. Hey.
I got it. Yeah, right. Yeah. I kept saying Puyo. I could not say it for like 3 years. So I'm getting better. I got that down. In like 7 years, I'll be able to say that Kurarine thing. By then, no one will remember what that game is though.
By that then they'll probably think you're having a stroke.
I might be actually having a stroke. I think I'm always on the verge of having a stroke. Um, I don't have a good diet.
Okay, well anyway, that's all up in flames this week.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't. That was weird. That was a weird way to end this. But if you guys liked all that, please. If you, first off, what the fuck's wrong with you? Second off, thank you. But thank you guys so much for watching, listening, whatever. If you like all that, please like, follow, subscribe, tell your friends. 5 stars, all that fun jazz. Whatever you do to help us out, we would appreciate it. But I was your host. I was
I've
Seth.
been Colonel Gables, so until next time, everyone, play some fun games, play some Switch Online or some Game Pass or whatever the heck you want to do. But most importantly, thank you for listening to another fun-filled episode of the Drunk-Nerds podcast.
And thank you.
Yeah,
Too sweet.
too sweet, man.
Bye, guys.